Hey guys, and welcome back to the HellfireComms Ghiblithon. Today we're going to be taking a look at a movie I actually have some experience with from the Studio Ghibli collection. This is Porco Rosso, and just giving you a heads up, we are watching the Disney dub of the film, and also this copy of the film has a certain site intro to it, so maybe that should give you a clue as to what version we're using. So everyone was desynced, okay? Get off my back. You're not a lawyer, or maybe some of you are, and maybe we should just start the commentary before I incriminate myself further. Everything you'll need to sync up
would probably be a good idea.
Everything you'll need to sync up our commentary to your version of the film is in the video description below, so if you ever get stuck, just give that a once over. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Okie dokie, Porco Rosso, which in Italian means the pig red, I think?
Yeah, you are basically right on that. Obviously, you would actually say the red pig, but obviously because of the way that Italian works, it is Porco Rosso, so the pig red. Just like if you were doing French, it would be, I don't know what the word for pig is in French, that's really bad, but it would be the pig rouge.
There you go. not my favourite Sonic character, the Pig Rouge, but, you know, we take what we can get with Disney dubs, I suppose. This was lent to me. I think I've said this in, like, a couple of LPs before, but back when I was in that wonderful time in college, the college arc of NTom's life, a mate of mine actually lent me the DVD of this, along with A Tale of Fire and Ice for some reason. I can tell you which one got finished. It was the DVD, obviously. And, I wouldn't say it's my favourite Ghibli film, but I remember, like, enjoying it, because it's a very adventurous film. It's all about, like, you know, planes flying over the sea, engaging in aerial battles and whatnot, and it's got Michael Keaton as an anthropomorphic pig, so you really can't go wrong.
I mean, yes, you really can't go wrong, but then, so Porco Rosso is not necessarily one of my favourite Ghibli films. It's not that it's bad. Don't get me wrong, it is not a bad film whatsoever. It's just, I find it perhaps a little bit on the more boring side.
How dare.
And that kind of seems a little bit strange, considering we're watching this film and it's all about a World War I ex-fighter ace who's a bounty hunter chasing air pirates. Like, surely that should be a very exciting film. But, I don't know, there's just something about the way that it's structured, that it takes... it's at a very slow pace, I feel, for a film that's 94 minutes long and wants to be so much about air combat and racing. And I just wish it was maybe a little bit more exciting, but you will see what I mean. It does have quite a good opening, though, so that's thumbs up for that one.
Oh, to be fair, mate, coming off the back of Only Yesterday, I think we can only go upwards from here. Only in terms of excitement. I don't think Only Yesterday is a bad film. It's my lowest rated of the films we've covered thus far, with a plain old C rank, although Richie did rank Kiki and her titular delivery service a C, because he's a bastard like that. But, I don't know, I'm feeling somewhat the same as Richie in that it's not the best Ghibli film, but it will fall somewhere in the middle, because look at this shit, it's already like dun 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 dun, oh, off to the high seas to tackle the pirates and save the kiddies.
I mean, I will say that, so Porco Rosso is based on a 3-part watercolour manga series that Hayao Miyazaki, who obviously directed the film, he created, and that was called Hikote Jidai, which is the Age of the Flying Boat.
Nice.
Because obviously Hayao Miyazaki has a massive hard-on for planes, and particularly old planes.
Right.
So, the original manga is a manifestation of his love for those planes. But there are quite a few differences between the original manga and the anime, because the manga's much more light-hearted. So, other than being a retired Italian Air Force pilot, Porco Rosso's past is not discussed whatsoever in the manga, but it is in the film. And other elements that are a little bit more complicated, i.e. the rise of fascism and the sentiment against it, while they're mentioned in the manga, they don't form that big a role. There's also a character who's in the film, but does not appear in the manga at all, and Porco himself is much more light-hearted. But the basic storyline is the same, so part one, which is sort of roughly where we sort of are right now, is Porco Rosso saving people from pirates, the Mama Aitu gang, I believe. It's quite fun. And I'm loving this piece of music.
Oh yeah, it's pretty great. Who did the score for the movie, mate?
If you bear with me a second, because the internet is a delight, and also because of my new lovely pop filter, it gets in the way of the top half of my screen, which is a delight. It's Joe Hisaishi, as obviously does a lot of Miyazaki's film scores. And so, obviously, that is why it's so on point.
You know, I can sort of see why Miyazaki fell in love with planes to begin with, because I always had a thing for boats, actually, growing up. Like, I actually fantasized about owning a boat and travelling the world, but, instead I became a shotty who talks over video games for a living. Anyway, I digress. The joy of flight, I suppose, is something that captured his imagination, and, I know, just all the nitty-gritty when it comes to owning and maintaining a plane must have appealed to him, because, like we mentioned many times, planes feature quite heavily in the Studio Ghibli films.
Yes, I mean, I think a lot of his joy for planes also comes in their design. Because I think there's just something about the way that they're structured and how, really, when you look at them, you're just like, that shouldn't work. Because obviously, at the end of the day, it's a big metal structure that somehow stays in the air, and, like, that's just like, no, that shouldn't work.
Like, look at this rust bucket here. This shouldn't have even gone off the ground, really, but Bluto up there, with his sheer impotent rage, made it fly.
Exactly. And also, you know, this is why you don't kidnap a whole bunch of young kids, because really, they don't understand what's going on, and as long as you're sort of pleasant to them, then they'll just run riot.
There's something endearing about villains who are sort of, like, either kind or apathetic to children. Like, they're a threat, but not so much that they're gonna hurt kids, which I feel is, like, the line between making an endearing villain and just making a shitheel who you can't feel any kind of sympathy for whatsoever. Nice shot, by the way, Porco.
Well, I mean, he is an ex-World War I pilot, so it's certainly fitting. Actually, another funny thing about... So, Tom and I have had a lovely delight trying to record Porco Rosso. So, the first issue was that the original version of the film that we managed to get our hands on, yeah, it kind of didn't seem to be properly in sync, and also, something just sounded off about it. And when I kind of compared it to my DVD of the film, I was just like, yeah, this dub is not the same. This is concerning. Because also the dub that we had was actually pretty awful. And then I did a bit of digging and found out that actually Porco Rosso was one of those films that had one of those other original English dubs.
Ooh.
But, yeah. But what's kind of annoying is that that information actually isn't present on the Wikipedia website for it. Like, you would have thought that would be, but it's not. So we had that issue, and we were just like, we can't use this. Thankfully, one of our lovely friends managed to come in and save the day by finding the actual dub, aka the Disney one, that's actually in sync, and that was delightful. And then it's just been a kind of cavalcade of me being ill, fireworks going off because it's bonfire night, and then just the internet being an absolute dick and trying to break on us before we even get started, so...
Oh, I just want to watch a pig fly! Oh my god, did Miyazaki create Porco Rosso because of that, like, idiom?
It might very well have been, to be fair.
Oh, that's one of my favourite Simpsons gags. Maybe I'll donate that money to charity. When pigs fly, and then the pig flies past the window. Well, Mr. Burns, are you going to donate it now? I prefer not to. Oh, I love Michael Keaton. He of Batman, Beetlejuice, Spider-Man Homecoming fame.
Yeah, Michael Keaton's pretty awesome. And obviously he seems to enjoy playing characters who have some sort of association with an animal. Because obviously he has played the Batman. He's played the Birdman. He has played the Vulture.
Yeah.
And he's now in this film anyway, he's playing the pig. Which is just kind of hilarious.
I'm going to assume that Porco Rosso isn't his actual name, otherwise that would have been really on the nose when he got cursed or whatever.
Yeah, his name is not actually Porco Rosso, but that's obviously what he's come to be known as. But yes, this right here is Madame Gina, voiced by the lovely Susan Egan.
Oh.
Who is amazing. Obviously, the original voice of Megara in Hercules, the Disney version. She's also, I think, Rose Quartz in Steven Universe.
Hell yeah.
And also she's the original Belle in the Broadway adaptation of Disney's Beauty and the Beast. So Susan Egan's pretty amazing. But yeah, Madame Gina did not exist in the original Porco Rosso manga. She was created just for this film, which... I like that they did that because it does add a little bit of 20s class to the film, but I don't know whether the character is part of what slows down the pace quite a lot for me, because I think my big memories of the film are Porco and Gina having conversations over a glass of wine. And that's my prevailing memory of the film, when really it probably should have been about the planes and the flying.
I don't know. Like, if you just have action scenes all the time, they kind of get diluted after a while. You need those slow moments to pay off into the big ones. But I think a big part of why I like the movie so much is because I love the 20s as a time period. Like, the roaring 20s, and you have, like, Prohibition and stuff like that. I'm not sure if Prohibition factors into Porco Rosso at all.
It doesn't, and I'd say the reason that it probably doesn't is because I don't think that the film takes place anywhere near America. It's very much more Italy based, where Prohibition wasn't a thing. Obviously that was an American thing, but I have to agree, I do love that period as well. I mean, like, I love the works of F. Scott Fitzgerald, and he basically is the 20s in a nutshell.
Jeez.
Like, The Great Gatsby is obviously one of my favourite books of all time because it's just brilliant. And that is the very definition of the Roaring 20s and the American Dream and all that jazz. Jazz 20s.
Nicely done.
That was smooth.
Oh, he's trying to ruse him. He's trying to rustle him, but Porco don't give a shit. Maybe don't smoke. I would prefer you not end up as Smoky Bacon.
Yeah, but he's Porco Rosso. He don't give no shits.
That's very lucky that didn't become his, like, fucking nickname instead of Porco Rosso, actually. Oh, I adore Susan Egan's voice in pretty much everything she's in.
Oh, I know. There are certain actors and actresses who just have beautifully sounding voices that you listen to and you're just like, I could listen to you speak for hours. And Susan Egan's definitely one of them.
To be fair, Michael Keaton's one of them as well. He's, I believe, Neo King Ghidorah, who was in the Dragon Ball Fusions playthrough and was the one who got us this copy of the film with the Disney dub and whatnot. He described it as, Michael Keaton and his dulcet tones, and it's pretty much ASMR for me, honestly.
Yeah, I think in terms of voices, well, particularly male voices, David Attenborough, Morgan Freeman are kind of your two go-tos for, like, amazing voices. In terms of women, Angela Lansbury's got a good one. Could listen to Angela Lansbury talk for ages. Also Emma Thompson.
So if you didn't catch it back there, his real name is Marco.
Yes, Marco Pago.
Dangerously close to pig, don't you think?
Yes, although actually I think I don't know whether in this dub, it's Marco Rossellini for some bizarre reason. I think it's because in calling him Porco Rosso, they wanted some reason for the Rosso. So the fact that Marco sounds so close to Porco is how it sort of came about that he became Porco Rosso, when he obviously became a pig.
Americans are always trouble.
The American Donald Curtis, as voiced by Kerry Elwes, who is most well known for being Wesley in The Princess Bride, Robin Hood in Robin Hood Men in Tights, and also Dr. Lawrence Gordon in the Saw franchise.
Neat. Sorry, I was just laughing about how fucking slick Porco looked just chilling on the boat back there.
Yeah, he's a very slick character, although I don't know, I always feel ever so slightly repulsed by his character's design, but I think that's sort of the point, is that he looks like a pig and that you're supposed to be a bit repulsed, but he's actually not that bad a guy.
Refresh me on my history, Richie. How soon after the war was this?
I don't know exactly how soon after the war the film is meant to take place, but obviously World War One finished in 1918, so we are effectively, when this commentary is going out, coming into the centenary year of its ending. But from the looks of things, at least in terms of the types of planes that are involved in Porco Rosso, it looks like it might take place at some point in the mid-20s-ish. The fictional Piccolo aircraft... Oh, no, never mind. So, Porco's Air Force friend, Ferrarin, may be named for, if not actually be, the Italian Air Force pilot Arturo Ferrarin, who flew the Machi M39, which won the 1926 Schneider Trophy race of that year for Italy.
That narrows it down a little bit, then.
And also, there's a mention of... So you have Mr. Curtis, who is likely to have been named after the American aviation pioneer Glenn Hammond Curtis, who, along with the Wright brothers, founded the Curtiss-Wright Corporation. And Curtis's airplane, a Curtiss R-3C, which was built for the 1925 Schneider Cup race. which is apparently actually referenced in the film. So my guess is it must be some point after 1925. So we're at least 7 years post the end of World War One at this point. But I don't know whether we can more accurately place where Porco Rosso is meant to take place in terms of the year. It might be actually physically mentioned in the film, but late 20s, I think, is probably the safest bet.
And just to clear up a couple of other things we mentioned throughout the Ghiblithon, back in Nausicaa Valley of the Wind, or Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, whatever, doesn't matter.
Yes.
Her father was suffering from toxic forest or jungle poisoning over the years. That's why he was ill.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that. Stuff we forgot to mention, really. It was the first film in a long line of movie commentaries, so I apologise.
Yes, and also, to be fair, it's Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, and while it's an enjoyable film, it's a bit of a difficult one to handle, I feel.
Whee!
And also I like how it's make way for the American who's actually voiced by a Brit.
Isn't it always the way?
Yeah, well, you see, this does actually slightly go against the common trend, because what generally occurs is that when a Brit uses an American accent, they're a good guy. When a Brit uses a British accent, they're a bad guy. That's generally what occurs, because for some reason the English accent sounds particularly villainous to some ears for some bizarre reason. I wonder if it's because, we pronounce things properly, that people just get slightly concerned about our motives because we care about how we sound.
He's loving this shit. So what, they just tried to bait him and he's like, fuck it, I'm going on a holiday.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hilarious. Because it's just like, suddenly he's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna go down to Milan. Because why not? I think the idea is that he's going to Milan to have his plane serviced. But yeah, this is a weird film in terms of its pacing, I feel.
Well, only yesterday kind of pattered about at its own pace and did its own thing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Here, it has a point to everything, like his primary source of transportation is his plane, so it makes sense, plot-wise, to show the plane being repaired and maintained and whatnot, because obviously there's going to be some sort of major plane-based event towards the end of the film.
Well, yeah, basically. I mean, I would say that this film is definitely better at making sense of its plot points than a certain other film that we are closely approaching.
Oh, no.
Porco.
Oh, beautiful.
But yes. Oh, God, yes, it's beautiful. Like, you can look at pretty much any Ghibli film, there will always be a number of shots that are just absolutely gorgeous to look at.
I was going to say every frame of painting in regards to the Ghibli films, but there is a film, I think at the time we're recording this, it's either out or it will be out soon. I think it's called Vincent, where every frame of the movie is literally hand painted, like a Vincent van Gogh painting, and it's all just like cut together so it's seamless, and it looks fantastic.
Yes, so the film is called Loving Vincent.
There you go.
And it's the first fully painted animated feature film. And Each of the film's 65,000 frames is an oil painting on canvas, using the same technique as Van Gogh himself, which was created by a team of 115 painters. Which is actually amazing. I don't think it's been... it seemed to have received decent reviews. I mean, it's got a 79% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. And it did win the most popular international feature at the 2017 Vancouver International Film Festival, and was nominated for its score in the Hollywood Music in Media Awards 2017, and the film won the Audience Award at the 2017 Annecy International Animated Film Festival, and the Golden Goblet for Best Animation Film at the Shanghai International Film Festival. So, my suspicion is if it manages to go sort of well. I mean, it has already, I think, come out in cinemas, probably a very limited release. There's a chance that it might do quite well at the Oscars, just because it's got that, it's got Oscar baiting elements to it. Obviously, it's about a very well-known artist. It's got a very unique way of doing the animation. But then, as I'm sure we're all aware, the Best Animated Film category is not necessarily voted for on merit.
Oh boy, yeah. There he goes, the cheating swine. Sorry, Porco, no offence meant, mate. I'm talking about the American who took advantage of a shitty situation.
Yes, Curtis is a massive dick, and, has just completely trashed Porco's plane, which is not okay.
She's looking flapper as fuck right now.
Well, of course, we're in the bloody 20s.
Oh, let's slowly turn this boat around, never mind.
I'd say that was some pretty expert jumping. I think most people would not have managed that, especially in heels. I think the only person who probably could have managed that would have been one Mario.
Yes, I'm aware perfectly that you 100%ed Mario Odyssey recently. I still haven't had a chance to play it!
Obviously, this commentary is going out in December, hopefully, by which point we will have already begun to record the Super Mario Odyssey playthrough, which I think is coming out in 2018, am I correct?
1st of January, I believe, yeah.
Oh, beautiful. So, yes, I am incredibly excited for that because, yeah, I got very, very, very addicted very quickly to Super Mario Odyssey and literally just could not put it down. So, yeah, so pretty much whenever I get the chance, I'm just like, hey, I 100%ed that sucker. Yes! I'm very proud of that achievement.
As you should be. Oh, Porco, rest up, mate. You'll get that plane of yours fixed, unless, the fucking Yank decides to come down and blow up the train as well. It's like, winning wasn't good enough. I need to finish the job and smoke that Porco.
So, the reason that there's an issue here is because there's actually a warrant out for Porco's arrest in Italy. For some reason or another. So, yes, and I think we can certainly hear a little bit of a certain David Ogden Steers right now as Mr. Piccolo.
He's Mr. Piccolo. He's a Disney staple, is David. He's Jumbo, I believe, in Lilo and Stitch. He is Cogsworth in Beauty and the Beast.
Yes. I'm slightly concerned that it took you that long to say Cogsworth, because Cogsworth is, like I would argue, his most famous role. He's also the voice of Governor Ratcliffe / Wiggins in Pocahontas. Although, that said, Pocahontas is a interesting film. He's also the voice of the Archdeacon in The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Who has like 5 lines total, although he sings like a beaut in the opening.
Exactly. He's actually also going to turn up in My Neighbours the Amadors as the narrator, which is quite nice. He's also in Spirited Away as Kamaji. He's also in Atlantis the Lost Empire as Fenton Q. Harcourt. As you said, he's in Lilo and Stitch as Dr. Jumbo Jukiba.
Ghibli! It's on screen! Ghibli!
Yes. And yes, he's just pretty awesome. And yeah. I mean, to be fair, considering this is basically a Ghibli engine, and the film is basically run on Ghibli fumes, it makes sense that the engine running Porco's plane is Ghibli.
I don't like the backhanded compliment that you're implying that the production staff were just basically running on fumes when they were creating this, and there was no love there, and that you hate Ghibli, and that you're a communist as well to boot.
That wasn't quite what I was saying, but okay.
That is a lot of lira.
Actually, the thing that I'm more impressed about is the fact that all of the text right now is in Italian.
Yeah.
Because obviously, background art, in terms of like text and stuff, can be a lovely issue for localizers, because sometimes it'll be in Japanese, which would then need to be translated if it doesn't make sense. Sometimes it's in English and needs to be translated because it doesn't make sense in the context. And sometimes it's in the original language, in which case it's fine as long as it's in the right location. But something else that's quite interesting is that, Porco Rosso was originally planned as a short in-flight film for Japan Airlines, based on the manga, but obviously, as with it seems to be so many of Miyazaki's projects, it grew from being a short film into a feature-length film. Basically, I think he gets started on an idea, and then it's just like, actually I really like this, so I'm just going to, make it bigger. I think that's basically what's happened with his latest project, which we're still waiting to hear about. But yes, so the outbreak of war in Yugoslavia cast a shadow over production and prompted a more serious tone for the film, which I think had been set in Croatia, but then they sort of moved it. But the airline did remain a major investor in the film and showed it as an in-flight film well before its theatrical release. Because of that, the opening text introducing the film appears simultaneously in Japanese, Italian, Korean, English, Chinese, Spanish, Arabic, Russian, French and German. And it's because it was meant to be that, because it was meant to be an in-flight film and it was shown on flights where you could have had people of any nationality there. And that's actually quite fascinating, I like that.
So where have we come to now, mate? Obviously we have the mechanic Piccolo here, but who's the standard Ghibli redhead of the film? What's her deal?
So this is Mr. Piccolo's granddaughter. I believe it's Fio, and basically she is a mechanic. So Mr. Piccolo is a mechanic, but Mr. Piccolo's sons have emigrated to find work elsewhere due to the Great Depression, and much of the engineering done to the plane will have to be done by Fio, and Porco's basically just like, you're a woman, you can't mechanic. Because Porco Rosso is sort of a little bit of a misogynist.
Well, it's the 20s. I'm not saying that as an excuse for his behaviour, but it was just to be expected at the time, and I assume he'll go for a character arc where he comes to respect the female fedora nod.
Yes, I mean, it's obviously, at least when we are recording this commentary, the whole thing of misogyny and...
Let me stop you right there. No, we are not going into that here. Keep it firm
yes, I know.
and delightful, tone-wise, mate. God, I've always got to stop you, you fucking SJW. I'm not being serious with that, but you do have a tendency to go on.
I know I do, but it's only because issues like that are important. But following on from that...
that outburst.
Porco Rosso is one of the few films directed by Miyazaki in which the historical and geographical settings are clearly defined. And where most of the story could have happened in the real world. Obviously, the whole being cursed to be a pig is not really a thing. But obviously, Marco is an Italian hero from the First World War and is shown fighting against Austro-Hungarian fighter planes that we will see at some point. The story is set in the Adriatic Sea, East Coast, between Dalmatian and Kvarner Islands. And Porco makes explicit statements of his being anti-fascist, quipping during one scene at some point, "I'd much rather be a pig than a fascist." And basically, Miyazaki shed light on the political context of the making of the film in an interview with Empire. I think, obviously, because of the conflicts that broke out during the film's production. Obviously, what happened in Yugoslavia, those in Dubrovnik, which is in Croatia, and elsewhere, and it made Porco Rosso a much more complicated and difficult film, I think, in the production process, and then actually letting it out into the world as well, because, obviously, at the time, it was actually dealing with issues that were a bit of an issue, and very complex. And obviously the whole thing of World War I is still a very complex issue, both the World Wars, in terms of how people remember them and deal with the fallout of all of that. Like, even now we still feel the repercussions of everything that happened in those World Wars.
Damn, man. I think he's gonna beat some Yankee arse with this engine. Power of the Ghibli right there. Oh shit. Go beyond plus ultra.
I have to say, I would be very concerned being near that propeller. It's just like, oh, I'm gonna die.
I will say I kind of poo-pooed you from talking about the political stuff on length, but I do find it very amusing that Porco had to deal with the fact that not one, but like 50 women are like the mechanical crew, or just like the help and whatnot. That was amazing.
Yeah, it is kind of funny, and I mean, because I think sort of, it's not fully gone into as to Porco ended up being transformed into a pig. It's covered, but I think the idea is that basically he acted like a pig and so he became a pig, I think is the idea. Sort of, think about it in a sort of Beauty and the Beast context.
Right.
He was an ass and therefore he got turned into a monster. But obviously it's a very different kettle of fish here.
I will say that was one thing that kind of caught me off guard when I first watched. Not much is made of him being a pig owl. Everyone treats it as a very normal fact of life. So if you come into it expecting something along the lines of, I don't know, Totoro or Spirit of the Way, it's not like that. It's very much just, oh, this guy is a pig. But he's first and foremost a fighter pilot, and that's what the movie focuses on.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, that's actually quite good. Because I'm going to get slightly social justice warrior again here.
Fine.
But obviously, there is obviously a whole thing to do with disabled actors and people with both visible and non-visible disabilities. and being put on film. And a lot of times characters that are very different in terms of the way they look are treated as either the butt of a joke or they're seen as being very different, and that is sort of a big plot point. Whereas it's quite nice that in Porco Rosso, Porco is a pig. It's clearly strange, but nobody actually bats an eyelid about him being a pig.
Yeah.
And that's actually really nice to see.
I'm just looking at, like, let me pose a question to you instead. Based on the animation we're seeing, what's going through my mind right now?
It looks very much like Cuphead.
Yes.
Cuphead.
There you go. No, that's the sequel. I think you are a prophet, good sir.
Yeah, it's obviously very clearly looking at that classic era of animation for Disney and the people behind Betty Boop that I can't remember the name of, which is really bad.
Fleischer Brothers, I think, is the people you were getting at.
Yes. Yes, the Fleischer Brothers. I mean, it's probably arguably more them than Disney. I mean, if you look at that character, that's Betty Boop all over. And that's quite fun.
Don't mind me, just a pig going for a stroll. My mum goes on about Italy all the fucking time, which is a bit of an Italiophile, but she's not wrong about how beautiful the country is. Like, even just the back streets here are so colourful just due to the buildings and whatnot.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think if there are a few countries that you probably want to visit at some point in your life. Italy's probably going to be one of them because, well, largely because it's got a number of very famous locations. So obviously Rome, you've got Venice. I would say those are probably the two major ones. Although obviously you've got like Pisa and stuff. And yeah, it's got pretty gorgeous places and sights to see.
Huh. Well, yeah, I think they'd rather see you spit roasted the old-fashioned way, not the other way. Porco. Oh my god. Whenever he laughs, it's like, oh my god, the portal to hell has opened.
I know, you get to see slightly too much of the inside of his mouth. And I mean, while it's totally fair that sometimes when people do laugh, they like open their gob so wide that you can see basically everything down there. It is always slightly disconcerting to see. It's like, I don't need to see your tonsils, thank you very much.
Did we ever point out who voices Theo, by the way? If you did, I wasn't paying attention, I'm sorry.
Don't worry, I don't think I did, but Theo is voiced by Kimberly Williams Paisley, who I don't really recognise all that much. So she's apparently well known for her co-starring roles on According to Jim and Nashville, although her breakout performance was in Father of the Bride and Father of the Bride 2. I'm just looking in to see if I can see anything.
I think I've seen Father of the Bride. Was she the bride by any chance?
Potentially Annie Banks. I'm just seeing if there's anything that... No. There's nothing that I would really recognise her from. I mean, I suppose the biggest one would probably, other than the movies, would perhaps be Peggy Kenter in Nashville, the TV series. Yeah, there's pretty much nothing in this for me, but that's fine. Like, you're not gonna recognise every single actor and actress in a film. And to be fair, it's quite nice when that happens.
Just you get to add new voices and memories to your repertoire, but anyway, enough waxing philosophically. Apart from having to escape from the secret police, Porco has to deal with letting a woman fly his plane.
Go Porco the misogynist. It's hilarious.
I hear that was the working title of the film, actually.
Porco the red-blooded male.
There you go. I don't think that's what he was getting at, Theo, but more power you, I guess.
It's kind of funny, she's very intelligent, but also very naive, it seems. And Porco Rosso is just like that really cynical bastard in the corner, drinking beer, just going, you do realise that, like, I basically just, you know, have sex with, like, every woman that I ever see, because I'm a lonely bugger, and I'm a pig. Like, don't be stupid.
I would have put the pig thing first, but more power to you as well, Richie. And holy shit, we're halfway through the film. The time just slipped away, honestly.
Yeah, but then equally not very much has actually happened in the film. It's just like Porco saved some people, he flew to Italy and had his plane fixed, and that's basically the gist of what has occurred so far.
Yeah, but
and
I like the
really... Yeah. I mean, the characters are good. Yes.
Can I actually fucking talk before you talk over me? I'm getting a little bit annoyed, honestly, now, because I like Porco Rosso, and you come in with your opinions that are perfectly reasonable, and you just try and shoot me down.
Well, it's clearly, Tom, because you're completely wrong in your assessment of this film. Clearly, I'm the only person with the correct opinion ever.
I finally...
Obviously.
The truth is out. We don't have to pretend anymore. Really, you're just a cunt. Goodbye. Ghiblithon over. But no, in all seriousness, the point I was trying to make is I don't really care that not a lot plot-wise is happening, because I enjoy the escapades of Porco Rosso much more than whoever the fuck the main character was in Only Yesterday. I've already forgotten her name. Granted, that was like 2 weeks ago we were recording, and that movie didn't have fascists to escape from and cool as shit aerial fights and a talking pig.
I mean, that's definitely true. I believe the character was called Takeo, but also I can't really remember either, because, as I said, Only Yesterday is not one of my favourites. But yeah, I totally see where you're coming from. It's definitely a better film than Only Yesterday in terms of watchability. And it's definitely got some more exciting moments in it. And I mean, this in particular is quite good, I feel.
Thank you. Credit where credit's due.
And also I like how she mentioned the aileron, because obviously in aerial flight there is one manoeuvre that everyone refers to because of a very specific video game that included spaceflight, aka the barrel roll. And obviously the barrel roll in Star Fox is not actually a barrel roll, it's an aileron roll. Which I've always found quite hilarious, to be fair.
Oh, Miyamoto was just laughing his ass off when he wrote that into the script. Like, haha, stupid baka gaijins. They will never know. They will never ever know. And then here comes Miyazaki with his, like, counter maneuver. He's like, oh, I'll teach them what a fucking alien roll is.
Yes, and also know how to escape from fascists.
Oh. Again, every frame are painted.
Yes, and also, you know, love a good flying sequence. Love them.
I understand completely.
it's just like, yes, that is some sort of sign language. It's not actually sign language, it's pilot language. But yes.
Beautiful. That's the dude from the movie theater, right?
Yes.
Took you a moment. Took me a moment as well, to be fair.
Oh, the burn.
Indeed. Well, he's already been shot down once. A small Spitfire barrage like that is going to do nothing to dent his spirit. I don't know where I'm going with this, but just look at the fucking animation right now.
I know, it's great. And did you know that apparently, in 2011, Hayao Miyazaki said that he actually wanted to make a follow-up anime to Porco Rosso if his next few films following Ponyo were successful?
Were the next films following Ponyo successful?
Sort of, I think. I mean, apparently, the film still has a working name, which is Porco Rosso, The Last Sortie, and will be set during the Spanish Civil War with Porco returning, albeit as an old pilot, to reflect Miyazaki's own ageing, and while Miyazaki was writing the film, it was going to be Hiromasa Yonebayashi who was going to direct, but obviously due to Miyazaki and Yonebayashi's departure from Ghibli and the current hiatus of the studio, although obviously it's sort of returned to form, I don't know, the current status of that proposed sequel is uncertain, so there's a chance that there may be a Porco Rosso sequel at some point, but then I would think that considering Miyazaki's age and the fact that he's retired about, 7 times at this point, it's probably unlikely. But once again, considering he's retired about 7 times so far, you never know.
I'd be perfectly fine if the last Studio Ghibli film was a Porco Rosso sequel, honestly.
Well, I mean, I can tell you now that the next film is not a Porco Rosso film. But, I mean, it might very well end up being that it is. And I feel that would be a fitting end to Ghibli for Miyazaki. But then I think that The Wind Rises was perhaps a more fitting end for Miyazaki, because obviously he has very rarely done sequels in his career. And The Wind Rises is basically his ultimate love letter to his love of old planes.
I'm looking forward to that.
I mean, I would say that The Wind Rises suffers from some of the similar issues in terms of being a bit slow, but I did find that to have a stronger emotional tie to me, but then that might have just been the subject matter that it dealt with and what I was going through at the time that I watched it.
Right.
I'll explain more when we actually watch that film, because I think it might be a smidge of a spoiler.
Okay, fair enough.
So, wait for that. But obviously, Porco has returned.
Oh, he's wooing his lady from the skies. Let's see you do this, you young dickbag. Is this a flashback?
I believe so, yes. This is a young Gina and a young Marco.
Okay.
Before any of the war happens.
I was gonna say, I'm an uncultured Baka Gaijin. If it doesn't turn black and white and is fuzzy around the edges of the screen, I just don't know.
Yeah, if it doesn't go all waving, go da-la-la-la-la, flashback time, then you can't tell.
Yeah.
So basically, so Curtis tried to propose to Gina, but she basically says, no, I'm waiting for Porco Rosso to realise that I love him and to, come see me for us to be together, because she has obviously loved him for a very long time and is just like, come on, you know that we can be together now, You don't have to be an idiot.
I didn't even see her in the scene back there. I was actually, scanning the horizon. Oh my god, did she fall out or something?
Well, it's because she's, so small. And obviously her hair merges sort of in colour with the plane itself. Obviously it's a slightly different colour red, but it's still red. And when she's small and tiny, you're just like, well, I can see the pig, I can't see her.
Glad it's not a firefly, I can tell you that now.
Yeah, it's definitely not, but that is largely because, Porco Rosso isn't that depressing of a film.
Well, unless you just really hate pigs and flying, in which case, why even watching a movie about those things in the first place?
Exactly. Yeah, that's a delight, isn't it?
That's what I want to aspire to be in my twilight years. Just a dude in a bar who's dispensing advice and whatnot. And I want to deliberately make it so it never, factors in what the other person needs. So it's oh, you should always dress up warm when it's cold. It's in the middle of summer. Oh, but wear a scarf. Mittens too.
Yeah, you should always take an umbrella out when it's raining. It's the middle of summer and the sun is shining and I'm dying from a heat wave. I do not need an umbrella right now.
Also, there's a drought, so
Yeah, we will be those slightly crazy old people in the middle of a bar just going, young people.
Pretty much. I'm that now, honestly. I have my moments of senility, let's put it that way.
Yeah, well, I mean, one thing that I've always said about myself is that I am once 7, 27, and 77. Because, I've got the childlike glee and excitement of a 7-year-old. I've got the adultness of someone who's about 27 and is sort of reasonable at things. And then I've got the grumpiness of a 77-year-old. I'm just like, What are you kids doing? What are these memes that you talk of? They're not funny. They're not even that well done. Just, it doesn't make sense. Stop it.
I wish I had a secret beach hideaway. That'd be sick.
Oh, definitely. I mean, secret beach hideaways are the best.
Yeah, don't mind me, I'll just carry all the bags. Oh my gosh.
Oh, lovely. Pirates!
I fucking love Michael Keaton. He was the perfect pick for Porco.
Oh, definitely. He's got just the right tone to his voice to be cool and nonchalant when delivering these sorts of lines and sound cool doing it.
What an unexpected line to come out of that kind of character.
I know, it's unexpectedly progressive for an air pirate.
Ooh. I think we're having a heel face turn, Rich. He won't be a pig much longer.
Well, we'll see what happens. I don't think we've actually talked about the Mama Aito gang boss voice actor. So he's voiced by Brad Garrett, who is another person that I don't really recognise all that much.
I think I know who that is.
He was Robert Barone in Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah.
And I think he has done stand-up comedy and stuff. Oh, he was in Kiki's Delivery Service as the baker.
There you go.
He's also he's the voice of Dim in A Bug's Life. Ah. Who else has he done? Let's see. He's the voice of Bloat in Finding Nemo. Yes, that sounds about right. He's the voice of Gusto in Ratatouille. Oh my god, he's also the voice of the Hook-Hand Thug in Tangled. That's amazing. Okay, I do know who he is now.
He has a very distinctive and throaty voice, does Brad Garrett.
Yes, it's very deep. And those are always pretty awesome voices.
Oh. Okay, well that's more of the pirate behaviour I was expecting.
Yeah.
She's expecting honour out of pirates. Did I miss something here?
I know. I mean, to be fair, pirates do sort of have their own code of honour, but it's not necessarily everybody else's code of honour. But then, I mean, what is honour?
Oh my god, don't even start with me. Fucking hell. We're like 2/3 of the way done with this. But I have to say, before I go off on one, my favourite meme image, and I'm not trying to trigger you, old man Rich, is that image of, I think it's of Jake and the Neverland Pirates. And it's like, remember kids, a good pirate never takes someone else's property.
Yes. It's just like, no, that's exactly what a good pirate does. I mean, to be fair, it depends on your definition of a good pirate. Is a good pirate a pirate who is good, or is a good pirate a person who is good at pirating? Because your definition of what that is would very dramatically change the outcome. And also, I'm sorry, but he should be dead right now. Or at least his legs should be severely broken.
You know, if this pilot thing doesn't work out, he's got a future in the Olympics at least.
Oh, definitely.
Dodgy.
Oh, no. No, that is not okay. I have to say, this sounds like a pretty dodgy deal overall. Just like, yes, I will marry you if you win this. If you lose, then Porco gets off with everything.
Well, it's the 20s, and it's Ghibli, so who gives a fuck?
That is true. It's very true. And to be fair, it's the 20s, and it's pirates, and of course that's going to be the deal. Also, those guys must be pretty strong to manage to make it all the way up that crack in the cliff face. That's like, bloody hell, what strength have you guys got?
Oh, time for a change of heart, Porco.
Well, I mean, he sort of already had his change of heart in going, she's amazing, don't be a dick. And also, don't make that deal because that's ridiculous because you're worth more than that, Theo. But I think we are going to find out a little bit more about Monsieur Rosso. I know that I have kind of conflated French and Italian there, but I don't really care, because French is my go-to foreign language, to be fair.
That's adrenaline for you. The ultimate test.
Yes. Especially for a self-professed womanizer.
So yeah, that sequence of events just happened, and well, I guess we're leading up to the climax of the movie, which will be a big bang bang kapow kapow fest.
It's not exactly a big bang bang kapow kapow fest that you'd expect it to be. It's a strange one. Like, it's part of the reason why I think I find Porco Rosso to be just okay in my books, is because the climax sort of doesn't end how you'd perhaps want it to end, and that can be a bit frustrating.
I can sort of see what you mean. Like, I think at this point, my what's the term I can use here? My honeymoon period with the film is over, and I'm just looking for it to wrap up now.
Yes, you can sort of see, like, you can sort of see where I'm coming from with it. It's like, it's a decent film, but it does perhaps just go on a little bit longer with not a whole lot happening. Like, there are only really maybe about 10 set pieces, I want to say, of like big scenes that occur. You have Porco rescuing the kids from the pirates. You have the bit at the Hotel Adriano.
It's okay, you don't need to point them all out, mate. We're just padding the commentary now.
Well, basically, yes. I'm basically just waiting until, we get to the proper flashback of Porco telling his story. But yeah, it's like, there's only a few things that actually happen, and a lot of the film just spends a while going over those events. And while that is a perfectly fine way of doing a film, I have the feeling that Porco Rosso just needed a little bit more oomph and welly. It needed maybe a bit more plot to carry it along, to just make it land a bit better for me. I mean, that said, I think it is seen as... so I think Wilson McLaughlin of Left Field Cinema considered it the most underrated film from the Studio Ghibli catalogue.
I don't know if I go that far.
I wouldn't go that far either, but I mean, it was the #1 film on the Japanese market in 1992, and was selected for the Prix du Long Métrage at the 1993 Annecy International Animated Film Festival, and made Time Out's Top 50 Animated Movie list. So there are a lot of people out there who do really appreciate this film, but yeah, I just feel that it could have been more exciting considering the subject matter that it's dealing with.
Yeah. Oh, we haven't magically transported to Laputa, have we?
No, but there is sort of some strange magical fantasy thing that's occurring to Marco, during this bit of the story. And to be fair, it's sort of it's the weird point of the film, that it's nice that we do get this look at what happened to him, and effectively the moment that he becomes Porco Rosso, but it is a strange thing.
We're not trying to imply that his curse came from space, are we?
No. What he's going to figure out and see is that actually, that band in the sky is thousands of planes flying together, like some sort of weird plane heaven, I suppose, is, I think, the idea.
Oh my god, the plane live stream. Jesus.
Yeah, that is effectively what I think this is being. And it's kind of very confusing.
Off they go.
I mean, in a way, when you look at this, you do kind of think about all the people that did pass away during the war from air combat, because obviously there were a lot, and not necessarily all of them were ever found.
Yeah.
And that's quite heartbreaking.
Well, he is now, maybe not so back in the day.
Yeah, I think that's basically the whole thing, is that after living many years as a pig, he's kind of come to the realisation of, well, I suppose actually I was an asshole. And I'm fine with being an asshole, but I kind of don't necessarily care. And really, I probably shouldn't be an asshole, so I'm just going to be a miserable Gumpy Guts until someone decides to actually like me and prove that I'm not an asshole.
Alright, you ready for a big old climax, Richie? It seems they're making a show out of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've got the duel between Curtis and Porco. Although really I should say Donald and Porco use their first names, because otherwise I should be saying Curtis and Rosso. But
there you go. Yeah.
And it's an interesting one, because part of me looks at this and thinks, this is far too bright for a finale. Like,
I don't know.
It makes sense because it's sort of a festival experience that's going on here, and that works. But I don't know, I think I'm sort of so used to seeing war films or films related to war that kind of have their finales be quite dark before the dawn, whereas this is a very bright scene for a sequence that perhaps could have done with maybe a little bit more darkness to make a bit more of the tension work. And also these guys are just throwing explosives at people willy-nilly.
Why is that line so funny? It shouldn't be funny because it's not meant to be hilarious. Anyway, to rebut you, I don't think the film needed a dark ending, because the overall tone of Porco Rosso is bright and uplifting for the most part, even if there is a dark undercurrent, just due to Porco Rosso's past behaviour and actions and such, and I don't know, I remember liking this ending.
As with, I think, so many films, often what ends up being the issue is the film that exists isn't necessarily the film that you always want it to be. And you're perhaps overly harsh on a film for not doing the things that you think would fit it better. So that's probably what's happening here with Porco Rosso. I mean, it's still sort of, I would say, sitting in that average category of the average category of Ghibli. But I suppose I potentially am being maybe a little bit overly harsh on it. I'm not being overly harsh on Porco. That film's awful. But
well, let's not give away all the commentary sequence before we get there, shall we?
Yes.
Alright, let's go. They made a proper world's festival out of this thing. Like, dignitaries, well, rich people turned up and, I don't know, it's an event, you know. This young lady's gonna get married off, or a rich pig is gonna get his debts paid off. Oh, it's the fight of the century.
From what I recall, though, it is quite a fun flight sequence.
Well, you'd expect so at the climax of a film involving Ghibli's favourite hobby.
Oh, you definitely would have hoped so, especially considering it's a film about fighter pilots.
Sorry, I just called Miyazaki Ghibli. Holy fuck, what's wrong with me?
Well, to be fair, it's not an incorrect equivalence to make. Because
well, you know.
Effectively, when Miyazaki sort of fully retired, that basically was the end of Ghibli. While there are obviously other directors and animators who make up Ghibli, Hayao Miyazaki is ultimately the lifeblood of that studio.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy who created it and gave it its successes. And whenever anybody thinks of Studio Ghibli, they think of Hayao Miyazaki, even if he had nothing really to do with those films. Like, I know for a fact that I think some people, when talking about Grave of the Fireflies, they thought that was Miyazaki, when actually it's Takahata. And I think that continues for quite a few of the films as well, where people look at them and think that it's Miyazaki when it's not, but that's because people have it so ingrained in their head that Miyazaki is Ghibli because he is ultimately the face of the studio.
You know, in hindsight, that American accent is so obviously done by a Brit. It's not exactly house levels of accurate.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's kind of hilarious because it's one of those quite forced American accents, but then Carrie Elwes has also had to do a very forced British accent, obviously in Robin Hood Men in Tights. And it's just like, I think he's the guy to go to for slightly forced accents for no good reason.
Oh, not the money, not the dollary-doos. I mean, that is what planes tend to do when they fly through the sky.
Well, it's what planes tend to do when they are emitting vapor trails. Because obviously older planes didn't have that sort of, I want to say, jet engine type thing.
Okay, so what you're basically saying is Porco is utilising Ultra Instinct to beat the Yank in a fight in the sky.
Well, I'm saying he's using more technology than the Yank.
Oh.
Oh, lovely. Delightful.
I don't really see the point of a secret Morse code machine thing, but whatever. Yep, the police, the fascists or whatever, are onto Porco. To be fair, they are putting on a bit of a spectacle here, and, you know, hanging out with pirates won't really reflect well on Porco.
No, and also, to be honest, the Italian Air Force and the fascists behind the Italian government, clearly, obviously, because there's also the arrest warrant out for Porco, so it's just like, now's our chance to get this guy that, you know, we want to bring down, despite the fact that, you know, he's not actually that much of a threat to them, but then again, he does kind of take down the pirates, so he is sort of a threat to them.
Uh-oh. Shooting with a pop gun or something, that's what it sounds like.
I think it's more than just a pop gun, because, you know, it did actually hit the hole and break through there, but it certainly sounds very childish.
Ooh.
Oh! Yeah, that would be very painful. And yeah, I think it's quite funny, but I think it is also sort of part of the reason why I'm a bit like, with this finale, is that you sort of want the dogfight for Porco to be victorious outright, but the dogfight is sort of basically a draw. And it's a bit like, you big that up and that's the thing.
You know, you gotta stick to the male stereotypes of being brawlers and whatnot, so we'll settle this with old-fashioned fisticuffs.
Yes, basically.
Oh, Jesus. That was a bit underhanded, Porco.
Quite literally underhanded. After you would have hoped that, you know, they would have taken this onto land. It would make this whole fight so much easier for the both of them.
Oh, they live over the ocean most of the time anyway. This is their natural habitat.
Well, yeah, but you can't really move very fluidly through water when you're in the middle of a bare-knuckle fight.
It's fine. No, it's the 1920s. I'm fine. It's cool. Oh, me rashers. Me rashers, me poor back bacon. I'm roughly about done with this movie now, but I'm just going to take my enjoyment where I can find it.
It's probably for the best, yes. I mean, I suppose the whole thing that this is meant to show is that they are sort of equals in flight ability and also equals in physical strength. But I don't know whether that was a point that needed to be made.
Oh, okay. The romantic secrets are coming out now. At the end of a fist.
Yes.
Oh man, this is gonna go down to the wire, I think. So, Meg, if you're gonna come, you better come now.
Well, thank God that she is basically already there. Although obviously they are basically going to be beaten to bloody pulps after this. I mean, if Porco weren't already an ugly pig, he certainly would be by the end of this.
Well, he was a pig. I wouldn't necessarily call him ugly, as we discussed earlier in the film. Oh my god.
That's true.
Draw?
Yeah, that's basically, sort of where we're at. So, yay!
Fear's not being sold into slavery, hooray!
Well, that's certainly, one way to stop this Shazao.
Yeah.
Basically just go, come my place, drinks are on me.
Well, I guess they were honourable pirates after all, Richie. You were right.
Yeah, so clearly they were good pirates, because they were pirates who were good. Because obviously they didn't hurt the kids, and obviously they followed through with their wager and actually gave them the money.
So I think we've come to the end of the film now, Rich. Porco Rosso,
Pretty much.
if you will.
So it's enjoyable. It's not the perfect film by any means. I think that it's perhaps a little bit too slow. It doesn't really have that much going on with it. I like the idea of Porco Rosso. I just wanted there to be a little bit more grunt to it, if you pardon the slight pun. So, on the whole, I'd probably give it I'll probably give it a C again. It's enjoyable, but I think there's a lot more that it could have done, and it sort of sits in that same realm with Kiki and Only Yesterday for me, in that there's a lot to like, but there's also so much that the film could have done, and that I feel, had it done, it might have been a more enjoyable experience for me. So, what are your thoughts then, Tommy?
Well, I think, first of all, Porco... the curse is gone. If the Yanks reaction was anything to go by. But I like Porco Rosso. It's not a top tier Ghibli film. It's not one of the most underrated films. It's not a bad film. I'm going to give it a B, because I like the character. The story for what it is entertaining. The dogfights are a joy to watch. Just flying is a joyous spectacle. Theo's cool. Gina's cool. The music of the film is great. The animation's fantastic. But there's just not enough spice to rise it to the level of Laputa, honestly. So, I was hovering around a B- when we were, like, haggling or hashing out the details of what the the climax was going to be. It was boring me then, but, yeah, at the end of the film bumped it up to a B. So, beautiful. Really? Cowboys and dinosaurs? Whatever. So yeah, Porco Rosso is a solid B for me. But I think we're done now. So yeah, come back tomorrow, guys, when we're going to be watching Ocean Waves. We'll see you then.